Hi students, today we are going to start a new concept and a chapter called gravitation. Why we have selected this chapter now is after motion in one dimension. Why please? Definitely you get one question from this chapter in your NEET exam. And this is the chapter you had already studied in your ninth standard, and in your first PUC you are going to learn this chapter as it is, and this is the chapter helps you very well in your second PUC. In your second PUC, there will be a chapter called electric charges and fields and electrostatic potential. In these two chapters, the applications of gravitation will be there. So there is an importance for this gravitation chapter in first PUC as well as the second PUC. I hope you got it. So that's the reason we have selected and this is the chapter, because you have studied your 10th standard electrostatics. In 10th standard, a chapter called electric current and its effects is there, right? So you will be having the basics of electric charges and electric current from your 10th standard. It will help you in your second PUC and first PUC. These are the basics we are learning from your 9th standard only. It is also a quick recap for you from your basics. That's it, right? Now, gravitation. The first point we should understand in this chapter is, so the difference between gravity and gravitation. The difference between gravity and gravitation. What is gravity? The gravity is the force of attraction. Force of attraction between Earth and any other body in the nature. Between the Earth and any other body in the nature. So one of the bodies in between whose gravity you are finding, one of the bodies must be the Earth. So that's what the force of attraction between Earth and any body in the universe. So let's take an example. And this is the ground, and there is a body of mass m which is dropped from here, and because of the force of attraction by the Earth, so this body will be falling towards the ground. And this is called gravity. Because one body is the Earth, another body is some other. Okay? Now, gravitation. The gravitation is the force of attraction between any two bodies. The force of attraction between any two bodies in the nature. Any two bodies. Between those any two bodies, if one is Earth, then the force of attraction is called gravity. If Earth is not present over there, you have taken randomly two bodies in the nature of masses m1 and the mass m2, and they are separated by a distance called r. Okay? Now, the force of attraction between these two bodies is called gravitation. It's called what? Gravitation. According to the Newton's law of gravitation. According to the Newton's law of gravitation. This body of mass m1 will attract the other mass m2 with the force F. This is is the body M2 will attract the mass M1 with the force F. Both the forces are same. Remember, both the forces are same. It is like action and reaction forces. It is like what? Action and reaction forces. Listen to me carefully. If this body is applying an action force, this body will apply a reaction force on it. You can see here. Action and reaction forces are opposite in direction, equal in magnitude. You see, if it is 50 Newton, this also will be the 50 Newton, irrespective of the masses. It may be 5 kg, it may be 100 kg. But if this mass is applying a force of 5 Newton, this mass also will apply a force of 5 Newton. So that's called the gravitational force. According to Newton's law of gravitation, the force of attraction between these two bodies, that maybe this force or this force, both are same, right? The force of attraction between any two bodies in their nature is directly proportional to the product of two masses, M1 into M2, product of two masses. The force of attraction between these two masses is inversely proportional to square of the distance between the two masses. So what is the distance between the two masses? It's r, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two masses. Okay, clear? So let us discuss in detail about Newton's law of gravitation later. First, listen to me carefully here. So this is the equation. If you combine, you get it as F is equal to capital G into M1 M2 by R square. So let us discuss more later about G and about this relation, about some numericals we will be discussing later. First, listen carefully here. F is directly proportional to M1 M2. You might have learned about this in 8th, 9th and 10th. You will be learning in 11th standard. But nobody will tell you why F is only directly proportional to product of masses. Why not this F is directly proportional to sum of the two masses? Why not the force is directly proportional to the division of two masses? Why not the force is directly proportional to the product of two masses whole square? Have you got this doubt at any point of your time? Any point of your preparation? No. We will be simply by having the things. But that's not the right way of learning. And why not F is inversely proportional to R cube? Why it is R square only? And why not it is directly proportional to R square? Why it is inversely proportional to R square? Are you understanding? So these all are wrong. Why it is only correct? So to find this answer, you need to understand the history of the gravitation. So what is the history of the gravitation? I just wanted to show you here in history of the gravitation chapter. What's the history of gravitation? What's the history? Number one, there was a scientist called Ptolemy. There was a scientist called Ptolemy. He made a concept and a theory called a geocentric theory. What is the theory called? A geocentric theory. In this theory, he was explained about the Earth will be at center and all the planets will be revolving around this Earth, including the Sun. What he told you? Earth will be at the center and all other planets, including the Sun, will move around this Earth only. At that point of time, and some of the people, some of the scientists were believed about this. Later, there was a scientist called Copernicus. He made a theory called heliocentric theory. What is it? Heliocentric theory. In this theory, he explained explain. Sun will be at the center and all the planets will be revolving around the sun. That's true. But what is the false in it is, he mentioned that all the planets around the sun will be revolving in elliptical orbits. So, circular orbits. That's wrong, right? So, imagine if this is the sun, the planets will be revolving around the circular orbits. So, that's what he mentioned. So, it is wrong. Why it is wrong? The another observation. So, there was a scientist called Tycho Brahe. This is the scientist called Tycho Brahe. So what it is, the whole life, he has dedicated his own life in noting down the observations of the planetary motion, the position of the planets, the position of the sun, day and night. He has observed, he has recorded all the observations of him throughout his life. He gave these observations to a scientist called J. Kepler, Johannes Kepler, and he is the student of this Tycho Brahe. Okay, so what this J. Kepler has done is he made Kepler's laws, which are laws of planetary motion. Laws of planetary motion, right? He told the exact scenario what happened in the planets. So sun will be at the center and all the planets will be revolving around the sun. It's similar to Copernicus heliocentric theory, but the addition is the planets will be revolving around the sun in an elliptical orbit. Not in a circular orbit, in an elliptical orbit. And this is the Copernicus is not at given any kind of equation form. Any kind of equations he has not derived for the planetary motion, but the Kepler has derived some equations also related to planetary motion. And with the help of those equations, our great scientist called Newton made the universal law of gravitation. After him, the Newton has come into the picture. So the Newton universal law of gravitation. The universal law of gravitation. Okay, see the history here. So Newton has not derived the laws of gravitation at first. He has taken the observations of Kepler, then made the laws of gravitation, which is F is directly proportional to the product of masses only from the derivations of what? From the Kepler examples and his equations. And the force of attraction between any two bodies in the universe is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two bodies. Right? So thus are the values, and this is the final expression is made by Newton from the Kepler's equations only. Right? And one important point I just wanted to mention here. We all are in the lockdown now. Yes. Right? Because of the COVID. The similar situation has come in the olden days, about 16th, 17th century time. During that time, the Newton was studying in his university. The university has sent him almost for 1.5 years to be quarantined because of the disease called plague. In this time, the Newton has derived this universal law of gravitation and its equation. And a lot of contribution he made to the world during this quarantine period only. But you should recheck yourself what you did during this quarantine, what you are doing during this lockdown. Right? And Don't answer me that. We are attending the classes, and these are the classes we have started just 10-15 days before. That's it. And before that, what you did, if you miss doing something great and something new to yourself during this period, think again. At least start now. Whenever you got some free time, start doing something because of which you feel happy. Okay? Clear? Let's continue. Your F is equal to G M1 M2 by R square. Okay? Clear? Now this force is called what? Gravitational force. What is this force called? Gravitational force. And there are some properties for this gravitational force. I just wanted to write the properties of the gravitational force here, right? So this is the gravitational force is always attractive in nature. So the gravitational force is always attractive in nature. You cannot see the repulsive nature of the gravitational force. Imagine there is a ball is dropped from the height. The ground or the earth will never say to the ball to go back. Yes or no? The earth always attractive, right? So that means gravitational force is always attractive. And the second important property of the gravitational force is it is a central force. The gravitational force is a central force. Look at here. There are two masses M1 and M2. From their centers, I had drawn the line joining them. That is called the central force. Okay? And the third property is the weakest force in the nature is the gravitational force. Weakest force. You may get a doubt. Then what is the strongest force? The strongest force is the strong nuclear forces between atoms, between molecules, right? So those are called the strongest forces in the nature, right? Strong nuclear forces. The weakest fundamental force in the nature is the gravitational force because of the distance between the two bodies. Are you getting the point? There is a gravitational force exists between two bodies. Between the earth and this chalk piece. Between the earth and the moon. Between the earth and the sun. Between the earth and the star. Are you understanding? Because of the more distance also, there is a gravitational force exists, but the force of attraction, the intensity of the force will be less because the F is inversely proportional to R square also. When your R value is increasing, the gravitational force value will be decreasing. Are you getting the point? Yes or no? Right? Let's see. The attraction, central force, the weakest force, it is independent of the medium. Imagine I am the object here. And there is a table there. You can find the gravitational force of attraction. Yes or no? Yes. Think that there is a wall which is kept between me and that bench. Right? But still, there is a gravitational force exists between these two bodies. Whatever the medium is present between any two bodies in the nature, the gravitational force remains same. So that means it is independent of the medium. Last important thing. So, Newton's third law is valid here. That's what I told you here. How much is the force of attraction on this body? The same force of attraction will be there by this body on this body. Understand? So, action and reaction forces are valid here. And action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. These are the properties of the gravitational force. Right? So these are basics of the gravitation chapter, and let's move into the equations and numerics. Let us continue the concept of gravitation. Now the topic is mass and weight. You can see from the lower classes you might be learning the same, but I just wanted to give you the clarity between what is mass and what is weight. Mass is the quantity of matter contained in a body. Imagine you take a wooden box, empty wooden box. It will have some mass. The mass of that wooden box is equal to the number of wooden particles present in the box. That's it. You take this chalk piece. The number of dust particles are the quantity of the dust particles present in this chalk piece is equal to the mass. Understand? You take a book. The quantity of matter contained in a book, the quantity of particles present in a book, that's called mass. But weight is the force of gravity. Weight is what? The force of gravity. So it's called weight. Weight is a force. Mass is not a force. It is just a quantity. So this is the mass is a scalar quantity because it is just a quantity. And this is the weight as it is a force. It is a vector quantity. You get the point? The mass SI units are kilogram. As it is a force, its SI units are Newton. Okay. Now, this is the value of mass will remain constant everywhere. Everywhere, the value of mass will remain constant. Let me give you an example. And this is the chalk piece is having 100 grams of weight. Listen, 100 grams of weight. You take, I'm talking about the quantity of matter and the weight of an object. First, let us talk about quantity of matter. The quantity of dust particles present in this chalk piece will be having some value. Okay. For example, if we take this chalk piece to the surface of the moon, will there be any change in this quantity of matter present? No, impossible. If you take this to your house, will there any change in the quantity of matter? No, that's called mass. Mass value will be remain constant everywhere, but weight will not be like that because weight is equal to mass into acceleration into gravity. Mass remains everywhere, but everywhere constant, but G value will not be like that. What is a G? So G is equal to acceleration. Acceleration due to gravity. What is the small g? Acceleration due to gravity. And this acceleration due to gravity we will be discussing in detail in the further sessions. So where this acceleration due to gravity will be different at different places. Right? It is different at different places. So that means when this value is changing according to the place, and this value also will change, right? So what I wanted to tell you is weight of the object may vary from place to place, but mass of an object will not vary from place to place. And whereas this G value, you know, 9.8 meter per second square on the surface of the earth, and we will be taking 10 meter per second square while solving the numericals. Okay, so this is the difference between mass and weight. And let's come back to the concept of F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square. What is this equation? Can I say this is the force of attraction between any two bodies in the universe, which is Newton's law of gravitation? Yes, exactly. Now, what is this G? This G is gravitational constant. Universal gravitational constant. So what is its value? 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. You see here? The magnitude of its value and unit of its value is very important. 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. While solving some questions, you may not get this value along with the numerator. You should remember this value 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. So that's what universal gravitational constant value is constant everywhere throughout the universe. Okay, and let us see two important cases of this formula. The first case is that there is a body of mass 1 kg and another mass 1 kg and the distance between them is 1 meter. Look at it. All are unit values. Unit mass 1 kg. Unit length 1 meter. Understand? Unit force 1 meter. When two unit masses are separated by a unit distance, what is the force of attraction between them? That's the question. What's the force of attraction between them? Look at paper statement. F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square. This is the force of attraction between any two bodies in the universe. Okay? So here I can write G into what is mass of the first body? 1 kg. Mass of the second body? Another kg by r square. So 1 meter whole square. I just wanted to write along with the units because I wanted to show you something very interesting. Let's see. F is equal to what is G value? 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square by kg square into 1 kg into 1 kg. It's kg square divided by 1 meter square. It is simply meter square. Look at here. Kg square cancel. Meter square cancel. And what is this? F is equal to 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11. Is it equal to the magnitude of this value? Check it. Yes, exactly. Forget about the units. When unit masses are separated by a unit distance, the gravitational force of attraction between them is equal to the magnitude of your capital G value, and this is remain Newton. Newton is only remain here. So this is the force of attraction between the two masses which are unit masses and separated at a distance unit distance. Okay, so this is a very important question maybe for the competitive exams, and this definitely these kind of questions will be asked for very short answers in your board exams. Now let's see the second application. So what's the second application? Second application, what I am doing here is there is a mass m1, mass m2, which are separated by a distance r. It's a first case. And second case, what I am doing here, the mass m1, I am keeping it as m1. The mass m2, I am keeping it as 2m2, and the distance between them is also increased to 3r. Are you understanding? What happened in the first case? As the first case is the basic case. The distance between the two masses is r. Masses are m1 and m2. Second case, what happened? Distance between the two masses is increased to 3 times, and the second mass is increased to Okay. Now the question is, what is the new gravitational force? So what's the question? What is the new gravitational force? So first thing, what is the old gravitational force? So first case. So first case, F1 is equal to G into M1 M2 by R square. It's the first case. New gravitational force is how much? F2 is equal to G. It's same as it is anywhere. M1. M1 is also as it is. M2. Yes, second case M2 is how much? 2 times M2 divided by R square. Second case, what is R? 3R. Here most of the students will do mistake. They just simply write 3R square. It's wrong. In the place of R, you need to substitute this 3R and whole square. Remember, do not do the mistake. Some students will do that. Until they get experience, they will not correct their mistakes. And there are some students who are called as toppers, will be learning from others' mistakes with the help of teachers. As a teacher, I am telling you here itself, commonly doing mistake by the student is here. They simply write 3R square. No, 3R whole square. Because in the place of R, you need to keep 3R. So here, G, M1, M2 into 2. Are you understanding? Just 2 and just take it to the other side. That means also. So by 3 square is 9 into R square. So that is R square into 9. Carefully look at the situation. F2 is equal to 2 by 9 into G M1 M2 by R square. So what I can write? F2 is equal to 2 by 9 times of G M1 M2 by R square. So that's the first case. Yes or no? That's the first initial force. So that is F1. Understand? So the new force will be 2 by 9 times of F1. Like these questions will be asked. Right? So sometimes questions can also be asked like this. So find F2 by F1 or find F1 by F2. Like these questions can be asked. What is F2 by F1? It's 2 by 9. What is F1 by F2? It's 9 by 2. You understand? Clear? So, we'll solve a more number of numericals and more concepts will be discussed in the next session.